Welcome to the Circus Education and Industry Survey. We want to hear from the companies, organizations, programs, schools, individual workers, and other institutions and businesses that are spreading the love of circus in the United States. Whether you run a circus school or program, work as an individual performer, teaching artist, or circus contract worker, or own a circus performance production company, we want to hear from you. You matter, be counted. Every 2 years, the American Circus Educators Association, or ACE, runs a voluntary survey to collect information about circus education in the USA. ACE is a branch of the American Youth Circus Organization, or AYCO. This year, AYCO is collaborating with the American Circus Alliance, or the ACA, to expand the survey to also gather information about the U.S. circus performance sector. The goal of the survey is to get as complete a count as possible of all circus educators, companies, and workers in the United States. ACE, AYCO, and ACA will use this information to advocate for the circus industry. We know that circus education and performance have a huge impact on the lives of those who work in this industry, but to make a case for our impact on the economy and vitality of our greater communities, we need hard numbers. This survey will be open from April 1st through May 30th of 2022. If you would like additional information about the survey or to view a preview of the full survey, please go to the show notes in this episode. And I would like to speak a little bit about the survey. I actually helped to create the survey as the co-chair of the American Circus Alliance Advocacy Committee. This is our big push, everyone. This is a survey that we want to be historic. We want to represent every single aspect of circus arts within the United States. You do not have to be a member of the ACA or ACE-AYCO to take this survey. You are completely anonymous when you take this survey, and we are not just looking at hard numbers of economic impact. We're also looking at diversity, equity, inclusion, or any other issues that you feel are important to focus on within this industry. This is what we will use to advocate for circus when we meet with local and state lawmakers, which we do as a part of the American Circus Alliance Advocacy Committee all the time. We have been meeting with officials relentlessly for the past several months. And we look forward to doing more so with this data that speaks to lawmakers. This is what convinces them of how much effort and focus they need to give to the circus industry within their city or state. That's just the simplest way that I can explain it. And it doesn't matter if you are more of a hobbyist or an enthusiast of circus. You do not have to have this big grand career or be in this big position of power or influence to take this survey. Everyone is the same. Everyone counts. Everyone should be represented because everyone fuels this industry. Everyone is responsible for making the circus industry what it is today. And so, even if you've retired from the circus arts industry, please take this survey. Even if it's been touch and go for you, please take this survey. That is what we are seeking to understand. We want to understand the highs and lows of the impacts of circus. And we want everyone that has not been included before to be included. This is your opportunity. If you feel like you are on the fringe of the circus community, this survey is for you. We had so many different perspectives that helped to create this survey. So we wanted to make sure that it was incredibly well-rounded. If you are a costume designer, if you're a lighting technician, if you're a creative director, if you're a choreographer, this survey is for you. If you do castings, this survey is for you. If you run your own event company, this survey is for you. You run your own studio, you're an instructor, you're a teacher. Again, if you are someone who is just an enthusiast, if you moonlight as a circus performer, but you're from a different industry within the performing arts, if you do stunts, if you do acro yoga, all of these overlap within the circus industry, and we want to hear from you. So the survey closes again on May 30th, so it's coming up. Please send this out to all of your networks, send it out in an email blast, share it in your stories all over your social media, make TikToks about it, do what you can to promote the survey with your circus network. And please try and commit to getting at least 5 or 10 people to complete this survey immediately. It'll just take a little bit of your time, but it would be so valuable. And thank you so much for taking the time to do the survey. You can also even incorporate this into your classes when you're teaching, so you can all do it together. You can have a survey party virtually with one another, with your circus community, or if you have castmates, please get them to take the circus survey if they're working in America. You do not have to be American to take the circus survey, but you have had to have been working in America at some point doing circus over the last several or few years. Even if you are just starting out in circus, if you've been in circus school, if you're just starting classes in circus, please take this survey. It is for you. Thank you again, everyone. And I am very excited about my guest on today's podcast. It is the founder of the Las Vegas Circus Center, Michelle Hunt. And the Las Vegas Circus Center, it's been open for less than 2 years, but the Las Vegas Circus Center has already become an essential operation for many members of a very specific local community, which is the circus community. Brand and Michelle Hunt opened the center in December of 2018. He runs a software company, but dabbles in juggling the unicycle, and his wife, Michelle, is involved in aerial acrobatics. The oldest of their 4 children is in the center's youth troupe. All of the center setups are designed to exact specifications of strip shows for the athletes' convenience, which explains why so many artists from Cirque, Spiegelworld, and other shows spend so much time training at the Las Vegas Circus Center. The massive warehouse space offers plenty of space for weightlifting, aerobic workouts, and dance training, in addition to its vast collection of specialized circus arts apparatuses, everything from teeterboards to Russian swings. There's even an America Ninja Warrior style stunt course. Please welcome to the show the founder of the Las Vegas Circus Center, Michelle Hunt. Hi, Michelle. How are you today? Thank you so much for coming on to the Live Like an Acrobat podcast.
Thanks for inviting me.
You're so welcome, Michelle. It's such a pleasure to have you on the podcast to speak about everything that you and your husband, Bran, have done for and with the Las Vegas community here in Nevada through the Las Vegas Circus Center, which is so epic. For listeners out there that are unfamiliar with the Las Vegas Circus Center, well, this is your time to get very much dialed in. You guys are really such a force here in Las Vegas, Michelle. And I say that from someone who has been around and in circus for so long and has been working in and out of Vegas since 2005. And I have been in almost every single center, gymnastics gym that's offered circus. And you guys very much rival Europe. I've spent most of my career performing in Europe and in Asia. And I feel like what you've done with the Las Vegas Circus Center, which is, again, really, really huge. The facility in terms of quality and accessibility is really brilliant. And we don't see a lot of that within America. It's still very rare, even though circus is so mainstream and so vital and such a, huge, huge, huge kind of phenomenon here in America now as well. We don't see circus centers on this scale like we do with the Las Vegas Circus Center. So I would love for you, Michelle, to start out and just let listeners know who you are and how you came to develop the Las Vegas Circus Center that everyone has grown to love so much and depend on so much. I am there every other day. And so I see you often, Michelle, and I'm grateful for the Las Vegas Circus Center. And even if the Las Vegas Center is fairly new, you launched in about 2018. It feels like you've been around for a very long time, actually. And you also, to survive the pandemic, you allowed a lot of careers to survive through COVID and through the fierce lockdowns. I don't like to say through the pandemic because I know that we're not officially and fully out of it. But through the harsh lockdowns, Las Vegas Circus Center definitely provided a haven for the artist circus community here in Vegas that I have heard about so much. And it's definitely, people are incredibly appreciative for what you and Brand have done. So I know that was a long
thank you.
Question, but yes, more about you, Michelle, and how you came to be with you and your beautiful family.
Well, thank you. We started, as you said, Las Vegas Circus Center around 2018 in December. It was quite a project. We moved to Vegas in 2002, so we've been here for about 20 years. Came here for a job, not related to circus. And quickly, as our kids grew up, we were looking for a summer activity for them. And we ran into Sarah, who was a performer in Ka, and beautiful. I met her for a coffee to start a program with, to start joining their program with our kiddos. And unfortunately, the day before camp was supposed to start, she passed away in a tragic accident. It was Cirque. And so we never really got to go with that program. But another studio here in town that had just opened up, at the time it was called White Palms Academy, picked up her students and introduced all of them to this industry. And we kind of just fell in love from there, became quite a passion. We have a lot of friends that are performers, professional artists, coaches, and we just saw a need to have a place that had everything in one spot, that someone who needed to do serial and needed a hard floor had that floor that they could use, or a flying trapeze that needed a place to train in between shows had a place to train and grow. Then we needed spring floors, we needed trampolines. We wanted something that had everything in one place for anything a Cirque artist, or even an everyday person could have in one place. And so we started searching for, we came up with a business plan. We started searching for a building. It took us about 6 months to find a building.
Wow.
Vegas isn't, building places aren't super happy about opening up a circus facility. They don't understand what it is. They don't want to insure it. You need a lot of height. So we started the process. It took us about 6 months. We went through multiple places. A couple places we tried. Amazon bought out the whole building. Couple places UFC bought out. So the location we're at now actually was the last location that we looked at, and they said, yeah, okay, we'll give it a shot. And so after working on insurance and everything, and I actually think this is our best spot. We couldn't have picked a better place. It's a good location. We have super high ceilings, 52,000 square feet of space that we can grow and improve and change. I don't think we'll ever be finished fixing things and changing things and helping come up with new ideas and bringing in new equipment to meet the needs of our local talent here in town. So it's been quite a project.
It sounds like it, Michelle. That's really fascinating in terms of not being able to get insured, of buildings, even within Vegas, not wanting to have a circus center, which is like kind of crazy to me when I think about it.
Yeah.
This is like the city for a circus, and they're like,
it is, yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, and it's difficult, you know. Again, my background is from the gymnastics world, from the acrobatic gymnastics world, and so I grew up with business owners coming into the gymnastics world and trying to open up gyms. And so for me, you and Bran are a very familiar story to me, because so many, not so many, but ones that could and dared to try, parents of athletes and of fellow colleagues that I worked with when I was really little competing, opened up gymnastics and acrobatic gyms. And at that time, that was before Circus had its hold, and that there wasn't the same level of immediate crossover, even though so many of the gymnasts and acrobats were going into Circus and going into Cirque du Soleil. There wasn't the crossover within the gyms yet. They were still pretty separate. But I know and understand to a certain extent what that business model is and how hard it is, and especially just starting out. And a lot of the spaces that I was in growing up were much more rural, I would say, cities. They were not usually based in big metropolitan type cities like Vegas has become, or in hyper competitive cities either. They were usually about an hour outside of a very big major city, so that they could be viable and that they could stay afloat, because it's, again, very difficult, is what you said.
Right.
A lot of different components that go into creating a facility and being able to get access to run a space of this size. What does it take to run the Las Vegas Circus Center, Michelle? And can you also too speak about the very vast and multidisciplinary categories that you offer in terms of circusing, in terms of acrobatic movement, because you offer so much.
Right. It takes a lot. We have right now, if I can't even think of how many total, we probably have about 40 coaches on staff that we rotate through for privates and regular classes. So it takes a lot of coaches. Our coaches are all either currently working artists or retired, or somewhere in between. So they're very highly skilled. We couldn't do it without them. We couldn't build this space without the people that we have surrounded ourselves with, that they came in and they helped us build, they helped us pick. We worked with engineers to make sure that we built the proper, it was really important to us to have the proper safety rigging, all of the things, high quality, state of the art, custom engineered to make sure that everything was as safe as it possibly could be. And so we're lucky enough to surround ourselves with such super talented, experienced people, which I think helps us to be successful. We have currently three full-time staff members that are here all the time. We're open 7 days a week. All of our other staff members that are here working part-time, that work a lot of hours as well, they keep us running. I couldn't do it without them. So they're incredible. Our open gym members that we have we're a big family. It's so happy to see them successful. We went from, we opened in 2018. We were open for about a year, and then the pandemic hit. And we closed for 3 months. Our entire client base lost their jobs for almost 2 years. And so we had to give them something that we still had to be able to pay rent, but we wanted to give them a space where they could come in and train and wait and stay in shape for their chance to get back to work. So it hasn't been easy, but we're really lucky to have the people that we have around us and to appreciate what we have. So I can't complain. They're great people.
Oh, that's so amazing. And I can also too attest to that too. And just for listeners out there, I mean, the Circus Center has performers from so many Cirque shows that, come during the day and then go and do their Cirque shows at night. And that's a very normal and regular occurrence for those that are unfamiliar with the Las Vegas scene and how that works. You actually have access to actual Cirque performers when you are coming into the Las Vegas Circus Center to coach your kids or to get coached yourself. And the Las Vegas community has really changed and evolved over the years too, Michelle. And again, the Circus Center really speaks to that. There's a combination. There's a huge acro yoga community that is now in Las Vegas that wasn't here before. There is a huge parkour community that has really come into Las Vegas and really made their home here too. I come from the stunting community, obviously, because I live and work in Las Vegas as well. And a lot of stunt people have come and made their home base as well within Las Vegas. So you very much hold a lot of different genres within the Las Vegas Center, which is so great and so important, because not all spaces are able to accommodate everything because they don't have the spacing. Usually they don't have the height to offer aerialists and people that want to try different other dynamic types of acrobatic work. What do you feel that you guys did differently, obviously, to Michelle, to make it through the pandemic? And not just that, but to make the Circus Center what it is, because there are places that have tried but have not succeeded. And I always am very interested to understand maybe what the difference was in formula. And sometimes I think there is no different formula, and sometimes things just don't work out. But I also too am very interested to think and to understand maybe what your perspective is on that, and if you guys do see that you did things that were different or got insight or got assistance. Did you reach out to other circus communities within Vegas to help to move forward in that way and to maybe learn from them? Or did you use I know you guys have extensive business backgrounds as well. You're not lightweight business people. So I know that has helped,
Right.
largely within you infusing that. And that is sometimes what the circus community has lacked in some ways in
Right.
doing businesses, but having the
Yes.
creative know-how, but not fusing it with the business know-how, and how all of those things come together that make something viable and successful. And also, too, I guess, privy to investors that want to support you and help you stay afloat, too, if that's necessary.
Yeah, you're right. I think that is what the rest of the circus community was missing. They were missing the business aspect. So we're lucky to have the business background. Um, Lucky and not lucky, I would say. Lucky because it helps us come up with a good business plan. We try to pay well. We want to make sure that our full-time staff are insured. We cover an astronomical amount of insurance to keep the gym safe and up and running. And we invested a lot in proper engineering and rigging. Those kind of things will hopefully keep us safe and keep us top notch up and running. The business aspect is hard. It's not a profitable venture. It's more of a passion. And so by surrounding ourselves with passionate artists, we've been able to, along with engineers, we reached out to some retired engineers from Cirque who helped us build our come up with a plan for building our trapeze rig, which is unique. We've reached out to some of our friends who have trapeze rigs in Canada, who also gave us some ideas and where the best place to buy equipment is. We have a rigger come in and rigged and inspected. We had engineers come in and inspect the building and the roof and make sure where are the safe places to hang things. Where is everything? So that's expensive, and not all the places do that. So we've tried to do the right thing. Not everybody likes that. I don't think it's necessarily always popular because things are more expensive. But I like to think that we're trying to provide a safe environment that will be around and protect people and give people a place to come and enjoy. It's also really inspiring, I feel like, because it's great. We have our professionals that come in and train. We see them every day. We love them. And then we have our classes that start in the afternoon, from little kids up to teenagers to adults who just want to try something new. And they can be inspired by watching professionals and be like, oh my gosh, this maybe a little 10-year-old, this is their goal in life. They've been inspired to come up with a new passion just from watching somebody train hand to hand or somebody do tramp wall. And so we hope that by doing that and having our unique artwork on the wall, it gives a warm and inviting feeling for all kinds of different people from all different levels.
And it's family run, and I love that you
Mhm.
have your family at the Las Vegas Circus Center. I think that's really beautiful. And again, that's something that I grew up with seeing families stay together and have an entire family effort within their gym
Yeah.
space or within their studio space. And having it family informed, I think, is really
Mhm.
lovely and creates a really gentle atmosphere and friendly atmosphere and open atmosphere where you feel like you can bring your children there, where they can grow. And there are not, again, a lot of spaces that accommodate you where you can go from being maybe in an open gym to seeing that you can have a viable circus career. And that is
Mhm.
important, I think, within the development of the Las Vegas Circus Center, because you have a pathway. I love also, too, that the Las Vegas Circus Center, you guys host different benefits. You host different auditions, people that are seeking to transition into careers out of circus school
Mhm.
can seek opportunity through the Las Vegas Circus Center. So you're also, too, not just trying to keep folks training for the sake of training. You're actually offering paid opportunities by way of the Las Vegas Circus Center,
Right.
which is, again, unique. I think sometimes people see
Mhm.
things that are done and said, they think, oh, this is like this everywhere in America, but it's not actually. And so I think it's great that you partner with so many different companies and so many different circus efforts, and obviously not just through circus. And you can also speak to that too, Michelle, in the other initiatives that maybe you're connected to, maybe in terms of even like nonprofit work as well, that the Las Vegas
Mhm.
Circus Center does within the community or to affect the overall community. But you definitely provide a lot of tools. I think you also too provide workshops to a certain extent as well. But I very much appreciate that model that the Circus Center has sought to expand upon, which I've seen, which I know you'll continue to do more of. But there is always something happening just beyond being able to come and train at the Las Vegas Circus Center.
That's true. We always wanted to. our goal is always to give back something to the community. So we've tried to host a lot of, we have charities of the month. Last year we hosted, with COVID and coming back, we hosted our charity. We picked a charity of the year. We always try to stick with local charities as well. Last year, our charity of the year was NAMI, which focuses on helping people find assistance for mental health, which is a huge need right now with everybody and all the things that have gone around and affected people with our community losing their jobs and having to start fresh and people getting injured. So it's a really important aspect. This year, our charity, we're featuring Cure for the Kids Foundation, which has been a near and dear charity to us since our one of our children was treated there when they were little. And we could not have gotten better care. So we're trying to, anytime we do any kind of, we do periodic shows here at the gym, we'll always try to sell the tickets, match what we make. The money goes 100% to our charity of the year. And we raised quite a bit of money last year. This year, we hope to do the same for Cure for the Kids Foundation. And we try to help out. We have community events we try to help with as well. We helped with the Japanese event over Viva Fest weekend to raise some money for them. We also have an upcoming event with the local police department for underprivileged youth that's coming up in July. So we try to keep involved with the community as well. But still, the important thing I think is because there's so many artists that need a place to train, we always try to keep our class sizes small, our summer camps small, so that they don't impede on the training for the professionals as well. So we can have both going on, but neither one of them gets in each other's way. And then we've worked with movie productions for filming. We've worked with other companies coming in for rehearsals. So we have a lot of different options that we can provide for people.
And you also offer spaces where performers can film, for example, their performances. You have like a theater that the space transitions into, so you can shoot a demo reel inside of the Circus Center and have, again, a full show within the Circus Center.
Yes.
You have lighting. You have a very kind of hyper mobile space that can transition to all sorts of things, which is also very useful as well, because that's another thing that circus artists need and circus companies need, auditions need, where they need a space that is hyper functional. And you have a yoga space, a little hyper yoga studio in the back. There's a few different rooms actually within the Las Vegas Circus Center that are useful for different facets, because again, everybody is so multifaceted and multidimensional. And so I think it's really great that there's a space that you can use in a lot of different ways without going out of pocket to a lot of different spaces, which can get expensive and which can get consuming and which is difficult. And so we're always looking, if you're a circus artist or if you're a circus entrepreneur or a circus business owner, we're looking for functional spaces that can give us a little bit of everything that we need to survive and be viable and keep ourselves within the business doing well.
Yeah, that's right. So we just recently, I believe last year, we created our curtain space. So we have a full theater, lighting, sound system. We can raise and lower the curtains for auditions. We can use it for, like you said, we have artists that come in and film after hours. They'll come in and film during our quiet hours as well. We can do our showcases there. We've done a few pro shows. We hope to bring more of those back. That gives our performance artists a chance to come in and perform. And it gives us a chance to invite casting from throughout our community to come in and watch them perform, which can potentially lead them to other job opportunities as well, which is important for us. Anytime we get asks for job opportunities, we always try to reach out to those of our regular open gym members, try to find them a good match and help as much as we can. So it's worked out really well. We've gotten a lot of people different opportunities. We've gotten auditions that have come in, and our little student showcases for our kiddos has worked out really well too. So it's a great balance of everything.
Yes, I think it's a great balance of everything. And I think that, again, that is very sweet, all of the different stages that someone can come to the Las Vegas Circus Center for. It's not just one thing. So for listeners out there, if you're thinking that there is something that you need that is not working for you in the space that you're in, the Las Vegas Circus Center is some place that can potentially and possibly, I think, absorb that weight for you. It's also, too, I think, pretty cost effective in terms of what you can get access to. The open gym is 3-hour segments, which is very generous, I think, in terms of what you, again, have access to with being able to work independently, and have
Mhm.
access to coaching, have access to lunges or spotting, if you need it, with the coaches that are there, that are certified, that are informed, and that can assist you, again, in growing, because, again, sometimes people don't have the money to pay for privates, but they can pay a monthly fee, which can get them into a program and get them into a space. But having access to those that can help you to learn new tricks safely within a space and are qualified is also too something that you don't get everywhere, at every studio, and that is, again, unique to the Las Vegas Circus Center. I wanted to ask you too, again, Michelle, what has been, I think, the biggest growth that you have seen within the time that you've been involved in circus, and how has that changed from not being a studio owner to being a studio owner, in terms of what you see through circus, and also to being a mom, and having children that are in circus, and that are seeking circus opportunity, and how that has changed kind of like your insight into circus. I mean, circus, yet you can't get a degree for per se,
Right.
in college or at a university, which I'm actually on committees and advocacy that are working on that, to try and see how we can potentially have circus arts as an art form recognized, and then have recognition through getting college credits and through getting a degree in circus. Even though you can be certified through circus in different ways, you can't necessarily get
Mhm.
a recognized master's in circus. And before,
Right.
this used to be something that parents, it was, they didn't really like that. And so for them, they thought, well, this isn't something that my child will do long term. They need to have something else to fall back on. But now it's no
Right.
longer that way. Now it's really a full-fledged career where you see, well, my child maybe doesn't need to be a full-on performer for their entire life. They can go into a lot of different spaces within circus and hold a lot of different hats and different roles. But how has that informed you for parents out there, and again, for those that are not yet entrepreneurs in this space, that are maybe seeking to become entrepreneurs in this circus space?
I've seen it grow a lot. I mean, we've been in a weird situation because we were only open for a year. We were just starting to get the hang of things and get more people coming in and getting to know us and recognize us. And then everything closed down. And we're still kind of recuperating from that. And but we I think the most honest, I think my husband credit, the most brilliant thing that we did was put art on our walls. And initially, I didn't want to put art on the walls because I thought it was an expensive thing that we didn't need. But it has become an iconic, if you see the wall, you know where you're at kind of thing. So I have to say that was brilliant marketing on their part. And the artists who were up and coming artists at the time have their careers have blown up as well. So that was brilliant on us. But we've seen people come in. We have some students. I have a performance troupe with our more advanced students. It ranges in age from, we have a new one that just started from 9 up to 17. We have 3 of them graduating, 2 of them graduating this year, one graduating next year. And they're all more than capable of starting to audition, and they're at the age where they're old enough to audition and start getting out there in the world if that's what they want. And so I think for them to see that people around them have grown, and we see people get auditions and lose auditions, and to be able to cope with that. So by giving this opportunity to them to be inspired, and we're able to start presenting them to audition options and giving them these opportunities, they see that there is a career path. Even with my own kiddos, they're all different levels at how much they're involved in the circus community. I have one that's very involved, and I don't think people give circus the credit that it deserves. I think it's on the same level as, I would say, gymnastics. I mean, I have one of my kids trains probably 25, 30 hours a week, just like any other gymnast would, but they're not going to get a scholarship for that. Um, but I mean, in their world, in my world as a parent, I don't care as long as I see them happy. And so I think I see more parents coming in with their kids who are kind of burnt out on other things, and they don't want to necessarily compete, and they want another way to express their creativity, which I think circus gives people that. They have the opportunity to be creative, and they welcome all different kinds of aspects of creativity, which you don't get from some of the other sports and options. So I think it's becoming really popular as the world becomes more open-minded to different options and different things that people can explore. Um, but there's not scholarships, which is hard for parents who want, like, if they take the gymnastics route, you could get a scholarship and pay for your college. So I hope in the future that they'll have something like that, and they'll have an opportunity for people. Right now, we're just waiting and training and hoping for the best. But I do see more and more kids coming in and trying to expand their creativity and see where they can do a little bit more on their own versus having to follow a strict guideline is you have to do this to get to this level, and you have to do that to get to the next level. So I think we give them more freedom to be able to express themselves.
Yes, I agree. And I really love that too, because I even grew up with so many people or, gymnasts and acrobats and such that were burned out on the competitive space. And they were looking for something that was more free form and something that felt more, I think, emotionally sound for them, because I think we all create in different ways. We all work in different ways. The competitive world is not
Right.
for everyone. Even the competitive circus world is not for everyone. And so I think that it's important that there have been these spaces that have been created where if this like speaks to you better, then this is probably the space you have to go in, you should go into, and you don't have to feel like you have to, do that
Right.
hyper crazy training, going for the Olympics, but you have these basic great gymnastics or acrobatic skills that you've worked really hard for, but that you can take
Right.
into the more artistic circus space and utilize those and be happier. And even too, when I speak with parents, when they're speaking about, maybe like not a college scholarship path, they say, well, I mean, they can go and make money right away. So that's also still too.
Yes, that is true.
It's
That's true. And yeah, it's true. And I think gymnasts who maybe don't necessarily want to go all the way to the competitive Olympic route, and even acro, they do incredibly well in with that foundation as a circus artist. They're incredible dancers as well. It's a great any of those things are a great foundation to start the circus route, if that's something that you want to do. Some people just do it recreationally. Other people have big dreams and goals. But I think there's room for everybody, which is great.
Yes, and we're like currently too seeking to figure out the full language of circus arts expression within America. And I think what you said is really great, Michelle, because again, there's no rhyme or reason to how you do circus. And so you can do it as a hobbyist, you can do it as an enthusiast. And a lot of the enthusiasts and hobbyists have driven the circus arts world. And they're the ones, again, that have come into it and done it as passion projects like you have with your husband, Bran, in terms of creating a circus studio. So I also see that those that are coming in with different mindsets as well end up creating things that are really, really beautiful, because you have different influences coming forward. You have different perspectives, which I think are also too very important. And that also too will open up the minds to others that have been maybe involved in for a long time that maybe they couldn't see a pathway forward. But, when you have different minds that come in from outside places, I think that's really great. I oftentimes encourage people on the podcast to seek out those that are outside of circus to get ideas and to get information to bring that back into the circus arts community to assist in the growth of circus in terms of circus studios, in terms of business know-how. I have my own other podcast, Think Like an Acrobat on Circus Talk, which is a pro series that offers tools and insights within business for the circus community also that kind of builds on these tools and aspects. But that's, again, another important reason of why I wanted you on, Michelle, as well. First of all, again, you're so lovely. Your family is so beautiful. But I definitely love what you've done in a very short amount of time here in Vegas, in the mark that you've made in Vegas as well, doing something that is not easy to do, but done it with a lot of care, obviously done it with a lot of hyper focus on safety and regulation, which again, sometimes can fall to the wayside within the circus arts community, which again, I'm on advocacy committees that are working on getting better policies in and around regulations for circus studios, for circus companies, for example, that create these safety nets that protect artists in terms of technical aspects, but then also to now protect artists moving forward and companies moving forward in terms of funding and viability. For circus studios, for example, because you are the hubs for the industry, and without important communities like the Las Vegas Circus Center, a lot of circus performers and companies probably wouldn't have survived in the way that they did through this time. And Michelle, can you also speak to like what your perspective is on the professional circus industry at large here too, in terms of seeing Cirque du Soleil and seeing the shows, and seeing how the companies work, and just like going in and out of communicating and working with those that are employed by such a big company like Cirque du Soleil here, what that's like and what that impact has on your business, being here and being homegrown and being local business that serves such a huge reservoir, because you serve a big company. You help Cirque du Soleil directly and indirectly, do what they do by providing so much opportunity for their artists, and especially when things were down. And now that they're up, and like you said, also too, amplifying careers through the Las Vegas Circus Center and getting artist work, which again, these are different things that we didn't have access to before within the circus community. Obviously, now we have that via social media. We have that via hubs like the Las Vegas Circus Center. But these are all different ways that those within the performing arts and circus arts are able to have careers, but not just through the old paradigms or the old kind of like gatekeepers that we had before. But what has that experience been like for you, and how do you see all of those moving parts?
It's hard to work with the big companies. We work with Spiegel a lot. Spiegel is a big up and coming facilitator here in town. They have a lot of artists. They're very easy to work with. They're delightful people, actually. They do a lot of casting calls within the community, and I like that there's different places. So we have our Cirque du Soleil. We help them out with auditions. Sometimes we help them out with recommendations. We help them out if they need equipment. So it kind of depends. I have some meetings with some coming up in a couple weeks to see how else we can help. So it just varies. We work with so many different people. We've worked with, we have another group of really small, we have small and big companies that we help. We've helped out with King Charles Troupe, which is a old unicycle troupe that's been around for a very long time. They're looking for casting, so we're trying to help them, and that they haven't cast in quite a while, so we're trying to help them look for talent. And it's not easy, but I think it's great that they can just come in and we can walk around a little bit and introduce them to people that they might not know, and kind of help them look for people. If I see something pop up, I always try to make sure that I let people know. People send us emails and say, hey, I'm looking for someone that can do this. And I'll reach out and try to get connections and see if I can help as much as I can. So we've been pretty successful with some of our artists, and not everything works out. We just hosted Ringling Brothers recently, who are doing a comeback, getting ready to open their show back up. So that was pretty special. And I can't wait to see what comes up in the future.
Yes, and it's interesting. Ringling is coming back without animals, and that's a big topic of conversation through the circus community now, of how that informs circus moving forward, how that informs circus moving forward in America. Those are very big, touchy subjects, I would say, and
right.
I am, and that I think speaks again to the evolution of the circus industry, and Las Vegas Circus Center is very much on that pulse. So speaking to those listening in, the Las Vegas Circus Center is a reservoir, I would say, of networking, in the way that I see how you bring the community together, and obviously the overlap of different communities and genres, Michelle. And it's great that you assist in so many ways of giving a leg up to smaller companies, smaller businesses. What would you say in terms of assistance that circus studios need moving forward, Michelle? Today, before I got on this podcast with you, was in a meeting with Senator Cortez Masto, the Senator of Nevada. And so I was speaking with her on behalf of the American Circus Alliance Advocacy Committee, and advocating for the circus workers and circus industry. And so they're always asking what we need help with, and what companies, what small businesses that are circus informed, what help and assistance we need moving forward for generations to come, immediate assistance, long-term. We are speaking to them about different policies and legislations and different reforms that are on the docket, but they're also interested in things that have not even been created yet. So we're also working on creating circus language for these statutes or policies that we could get created and get presented to Congress, for example, and get passed in Washington, D.C. that would affect the circus community and industry here in Las Vegas and here in Nevada. So I would love to understand how you see that aspect of things, Michelle, in terms of what could be done more to help smaller circus studios here, smaller circus businesses. We're all technically small businesses. Even if you're one person and you pay yourself, you are a small business that would love to have access to grants and to loans and things of that nature.
Yeah, absolutely would. I mean, we don't have investors in our company. We're just family owned, just the two of us, my husband and I. I do most of I run most of it day to day. I bounce off ideas and the big things with him because I need an extra ear, and he's more of a businessman, so he's great help for me. The hardest thing as a studio owner, and I think anyone who owns a circus studio would say, is insurance. Insurance is astronomical. It is the biggest expense that I think we have, and I would assume most places have. It's insane how much insurance and the cost of it is. If there was a way to have, I don't even know if there is, regulated or a way to have insurance that makes it more affordable for studio owners to be able to stay open and to allow people to not spend so much money on insurance, it would be a huge help. And I think it would help a lot more circus studios stay afloat, because there is just, it's ridiculous how much we have to do to stay open and how much of our revenue goes to covering those kind of things. And we get a lot of flack for that sometimes. We're very strict on who can train. We're very strict, not who can train, but we're very strict on coaching. We're very strict on what people do. We require a lot of mats. People don't always like that when they're performing. They don't want to use a mat, but we have to be protected. We have to keep our people safe. And we're going to do it the right way, whether it costs us customers or not. That's the way it's going to be. But it's a very big expense. I also think that as we saw through the pandemic, a lot of artists, if they're not in a big show like Cirque or Spiegel, they're not necessarily being paid as a W-2 employee, which in a normal world wouldn't have allowed them to be qualified for unemployment. And I think that they should regulate that more, so that they don't have this gig workers thing where if the government hadn't stepped in, there's a whole lot of artists that wouldn't have had any income at all. And so I think that's another important thing that we need to look at in making sure that artists are paid properly and they're protected. But also they need to be the W-2, they need to be W-2, or there needs to be a way, some kind of way for them to get protected if something like this were to, God forbid, ever happen again.
Yes, those are all so brilliant, Michelle, and so important. Thank you so much for sharing your insight and your perspectives on that. These are things, again, that became glaringly obvious again for the circus industry when the pandemic hit. And these are things that, even though things have opened up and people are starting to get more comfortable, we don't want those to fall to the wayside, because we know that there will always be something that destabilizes the industry. I remind those that have not maybe been in circus for a very long time that we survived the crash of 2008, 2009. It impacted the circus industry, circus studios, immensely. And there was nothing that we could do. The government did not step in at that time and give us assistance like they did during this pandemic. They did not give us grants. They did not give us access to loans. We didn't get unemployment benefits in the exact same way. And if we were a non-employee, which most of us are, I think about like 95% of circus workers just in general are gig workers. So that's the techs, that's the costume designers, the makeup artists, behind the scenes crew. If you're not a part of those unions that are like stage unions, and again, most of the unions that we have are like the crew and the production that get access to those different types of benefits. But overall, within the circus industry, we do not have any kind of unionization, which we cannot have because we're actually independent contractors and you have to be employed by a company to be able to do so. We're also encouraging Cirque du Soleil workers, for example, to potentially form their own union because they are employees and they can get some rights and get some ongoing benefits if they were to do so. And they could actually get those benefits very quickly and faster than by advocating in an independent way, actually, that we're doing right now. This is our collective effort through the American Circus Alliance to be able to do so.
Right.
We actually did speak to Senator Cortez Masto, which I want to remind anyone living in Nevada or Las Vegas, she is up for re-election right now. And so it would be very advantageous for you to reach out to her on your own through an email or through a phone call and tell her what you would like to see changed, and that she will ensure your vote by doing so. That's, again, how you get them to recognize your needs. And actually, Senator Masto was very well versed on the difficulties of gig workers and being misclassified as gig workers, as we often are as circus workers. Mm-hmm. And so her office is actually very dismayed that we get thrown into like the Uber driver, Lyft driver category of gig workers.
Right, exactly.
They say that's usually what people only think of. They don't think of circus mm-hmm. workers when they think of the gig worker or the independent contractor. And so we talked about that misclassification again today, Michelle, with the senator's office, and they actually have a lot of ideas moving forward with that, which we hope that we can actually get that turned into something real moving forward with more and deeper regulations. And what kind of bill would that look like? What kind of policy or law would they need to pass to ensure that workers of our nature, studio workers right. of sorts, are protected moving forward when something like this happens again? I mean, we'll always have, again, something that destabilizes the entertainment market. And we lost a lot of our circus community through this, which was very unfortunate. And so we're also speaking again to anyone who had to retire out to give their mm-hmm. advice, to give their perspective, and to give their assistance to the community that's still going, so that we can, kind of preserve it moving forward. But thank you again for that insight, Michelle. And thank you again for coming on to the podcast. I know you are incredibly busy. You run the Circus Center all day, every day, and you have a big family, and you're amazing. And I don't know how you do it. And I always just have
thank you
respect for you, Michelle, for all the different hats that you wear and making it look so easy and being so lovely and being so nice as you do it. Because again, you take on so much, and it's very stressful. I have seen many families do this over the years, and it is a stressful business. And so I, again, tip my hat to you and your family for making it through so much and making such a big impact. And I hope that Las Vegas Circus Center continues to do that for years to come in the way that it is doing now. And surely you'll just continue to expand. I wanted to ask you, just for your parting words, Michelle, from the podcast, what your future visions are for the Las Vegas Circus Center, and in terms of, I don't know, expansion or the kind of footprint that you would like to continue to leave. And just maybe the ideas that you have right now that are maybe just still formulating but aren't necessarily being done yet, but things that we can look forward to from the Las Vegas Circus Center, or even ideas that you would like to see others produce within the Las Vegas circus scene that aren't necessarily out there yet, but that maybe you guys don't have the bandwidth to do because you already do so much.
Right. The unique thing about Las Vegas Circus Center is I don't think we'll ever be finished. I think we're going to constantly evolve and change. We get requests for things all the time, swinging trapeze. We get requests for all kinds of different things. So I think it takes time to research and figure those things out. So people have to be patient with us. But our goal is to continue to add and grow and improve our space and add more things. I would love to have more shows available, more charity that we could recommend. Charity events that we could host. We've been working with some movie productions and things like that to expand and give other opportunities to other people, as well as we can pretty much film a lot of things here. I'd like to see us grow in that aspect too, which helps cover our rent costs and things like that, and give other people different opportunities. I'd love to see more kids coming up and growing and learning, and continue to see people move here and come and visit us from all over the world. And I just hope that we continue to grow and have so many great people that we can meet and help expand their horizons and their futures.
Wonderful. Thank you so much again, Michelle, for coming on to Live Like an Acrobat Podcast. I really appreciate your time so much, and all the listeners. really appreciate your time and your insight so much. It's so valuable. And thank you. And I wish you well. And I look forward to seeing you at the Las Vegas Circus Center. And also, too, if you could leave us, Michelle, with how can we find you online and how can those that are listening in contact the Las Vegas Circus Center?
You can find us online, our website, www.lasvegascircuscenter.com. Instagram, we're at Las Vegas Circus Center. You could always give us a call. All of our information is on our website. We also have an app, and we are more than happy to take emails as well. So we look forward to meeting new people, making new friends, and we'll see you soon.
Wonderful. I wanted to leave all listeners with the Live Like an Acrobat podcast is also available on Circus Talk, the inclusive, independent, and international online network for the circus industry. Circus Talk's mission is to create a level playing field for this industry and democratize access to information. Until next time, please everyone stay safe and stay well.